My wealthy father, relying on his few dirty coins, forced Xiao Jingtang to marry me. This fool. Xiao Jingtang thought he was marrying my talented sister and agreed happily. When he saw me in the bridal chamber, he turned and left on the spot. Later, he took the throne, ruling over the world, and killed my entire Shen family. When I learned this news, I quietly drank the poison known as crane's top bread. I heard that my father and his concubines had their heads chopped off, and since I was afraid of pain, I didn't want him to do it himself. In this second life, I turned around and married my father's adopted son. Yan, what do you think of Xiao Jingtang? Do you like him? Your father wants him to be your husband. Is that okay? Behind the screen, my father pointed at a young man in a brocade round-collared robe, wearing a jade crown and sitting upright, and asked me. At that time, it was a chaotic world. The court was weak, and warlords divided the territories. Governors and officials in various states proclaimed themselves kings, with some even calling themselves emperors. Xiao Jingtang held the position of governor of Liangzhou. His father had been a close minister to the crown prince, so he used the pretext of restoring the emperor's authority. However, before the troops moved, the supplies must come first. How could he seize the world without money? So he sought out my wealthy father. I was the legitimate daughter of my father's first wife. My mother died of postpartum hemorrhage after giving birth to me, and because I was trapped in the womb for too long, my mind isn't quite right. But my father loved me dearly. Even after he remarried and had my sister with my aunt, he never treated me poorly. My sister was rarely known for her talent, famously called the first beauty of Liangzhou, and had a childhood sweetheart, so my father didn't have to worry about her marriage. Only I, with my poor wits and a silly reputation, had turned 18 without a matchmaker showing up to propose. In my previous life, when my father saw Xiao Jingtang coming to ask for help, he began to consider it. In his eyes, even if his daughter was a fool, she still deserved the best in the world as a match. Moreover, at that time, Xiao Jingtang was just a local governor with a few thousand troops. There were countless claiming kings and emperors in the world. A mere governor, my father thought he wasn't good enough for me. As for me, though I was foolish, my desires were still alive. I glanced at Xiao Jingtang and drooled. I grabbed my father's hand and said, "Father, I like him. Yan wants him to be her husband." At that time, I was thinking about wanting a husband every day. The reason was simple. My sister Shen had a childhood sweetheart. Now, she was over 16 and about to marry, while I, as her sister, hadn't gotten married yet. The maids and elder women in the household were worried for me and couldn't help but gossip in front of me. So when my father said this, I agreed. Maybe at that moment, I wasn't truly in love with Xiao Jingtang. I just wanted a husband urgently, not wanting to delay my sister's marriage. But now, having lived a second life, my mind has cleared a lot. Hearing this, I slowly shook my head at my father. "Father, I'm scared. I don't want. Yan doesn't want." My father frowned awkwardly upon hearing my words. But now that Governor Xiao has personally come to propose, he is quite sincere. I was taken aback by this. I vaguely remembered that in my previous life, I first saw Xiao Jingtang riding past on the street and praised his good looks. Later, when he came to ask for help, that's when my father made his request. Could it be that I had been foolish for too long, and my memory was confused? After thinking about it, I suddenly realized Xiao Jingtang's affections should be for my sister. What he wanted should also be her. I can never forget that he killed my sister's fiancé, the young General Cheng, whose smile was like a crescent moon. And my fiery sister, refusing to submit, mourned in white that night, holding Cheng's tablet and leaping from a high building. As she died, she told me, "Sister, Qiong'er is leaving. Take care of yourself." That scene became a nightmare for me throughout my life. From then on, I had nightmares every night and never slept soundly. Xiao Jingtang embraced me, calling my name repeatedly, but I didn't respond and refused to take the medicine he brewed. Later, in a fit of rage, he executed several court physicians, and only then did I hold back my sorrow and obediently take the medicine, letting them treat me. I think at that time I had actually died. But because I still had my father, my aunt, and the entire Shen family with hundreds of people, I didn't follow my sister. In the end, however, they were all killed by Xiao Jingtang. I looked at my father, unhappy. Does he want to marry Qiong? But Qiong has Qing Xiao. I had to remind my father that even though Xiao Jingtang was a governor, Qing Xiao's father was also a general guarding a territory. He couldn't just break up a couple because Xiao Jingtang was a local warlord. Unexpectedly, my father looked at me with a complex expression and softly said, "Yan Yan, the one Governor Xiao wants to marry is you." I was confused. Doesn't he know there are two young ladies in the Shen family? My father shook his head again. He is referring to the eldest daughter of the Shen family. I didn't understand why things had turned out this way, but just thinking about marrying Xiao Jingtang, who would eventually kill my whole family, made me so scared. Tears streamed down my face. "Father, Yan Yan doesn't want to. Yan Yan doesn't like him. Can you let him go? Yan Yan won't marry. Yan Yan will stay by you and Auntie's side for a lifetime." Just then, Shen Xiong came in wearing military attire, holding 2 wild rabbits. She shouted, "Sister, quick, look at what Xiong brought for you. I caught 1 wild rabbit for you to roast and 1 to stew." Upon seeing a stranger sitting in the room, her voice suddenly stopped. Respectfully, she bowed, saying, "I didn't know Governor Xiao was here. I apologize for my rudeness." My heart jumped to my throat. It's over. He saw Qiong. To my surprise, Xiao Jingtang just sat there, unmoving, and nodded indifferently at Shen Qiong. "Miss Eyre needn't be so polite. It is I who have disturbed you." Although Shen Qiong was lively in private, she was very well-mannered in public. Seeing she had embarrassed herself in front of others, she quickly stuck out her tongue and retreated. I, however, was even more puzzled. Why didn't he look at Qiong just now? Oh, it must be to leave a good impression on Qiong and not be seen as a lecher. But my father seemed increasingly satisfied with this son-in-law. "Yan Yan, I see that this Xiao Jingtang is young and already a governor. He's tall and handsome, polite and gracious. Are you really not considering it?" Looking at my father, who seemed entranced by Xiao Jingtang, I pursed my lips and softly said, "Father, Yan Yan wants to marry Brother Yuxuan. Gu Yuxuan is my father's adopted son. He was the child of a late friend of my father, and since he lost his parents at a young age, my father took him in because he had no sons. As he grew older, he began helping my father manage the family business, which earned him my father's favor. In my previous life, my father had considered marrying me to him, allowing him to join the Shen family. Unfortunately, at that time, I was infatuated with Xiao Jingtang. It wasn't until later, when he tried to help me escape but was shot through by 1,000 arrows, that I realized this man I had always seen as an older brother actually had feelings for me. Being my father's adopted son, my father naturally favored him. Upon hearing my words, my father's face lit up with joy. "Yan Yan, do you really want to marry Yuxuan? Good. I'll go refuse that Xiao Taisho right away." He then patted my head reassuringly and walked out from behind the screen, wearing an apologetic expression. "Oh dear, Xiao Taisho, I'm terribly sorry. I'm grateful for your affection, but my daughter is already promised to someone else, so I must decline this match." Xiao Jingtang frowned upon hearing this. "What I seek is the hand of Shen Yan Yan, the eldest daughter of the Shen family, not the second daughter Shen Qiong." My father pulled at the corners of his mouth. "My eldest daughter, Shen Yan Yan, has long been betrothed to my adopted son Gu Yuxuan. The preparations for the wedding have been in progress since the beginning of the year." "You're rather unfortunate in your timing, Xiao Taisho." My father hesitated to continue as Xiao Jingtang suddenly stood up from his chair, glaring intently at the screen behind which I was hiding. I broke out in a cold sweat, feeling my blood run cold. I was so scared of him, truly scared. Even knowing he shouldn't be able to see me, I felt as if his gaze pierced right through me. I had no choice but to run away, unable to stay in the flower hall for even a moment longer. "Oh no, father, I'm such an unfilial daughter. Please handle the matter of sending off Xiao Jingtang." I don't know how Xiao Jingtang left that day. I only know that in the evening, my father invited Brother Yuxuan to drink in the house. The next day, my wet nurse took me to greet my aunt and father, and we happened to bump into Brother Yuxuan as he was coming out of the room. A person who is usually confident and composed suddenly blushed and ran away upon seeing me. Grandma Sun, who was with my aunt, smiled and said to me, "Miss, the master and mistress have already prepared to betroth you to young Master Yuxuan." This engagement was something I had personally asked my father for, so I naturally knew. But why was he running away? Didn't he like me? I was about to get married, and both my father and aunt were very pleased. One was my father's daughter, and the other was my father's adopted son, both marrying into the family and gaining a daughter-in-law. My aunt hugged me and cried for a while before handing me a jewelry box. "This is your mother's dowry that she left for you. Finally, it can be passed into your hands. My dear, Yuxuan is a good child whom your father and I have watched grow up. He's honest and sincere. You have found a good home. Even when I die, I can report back to your mother in the afterlife." My aunt, my biological aunt, had always cherished me. Even after she had my sister, she never treated me poorly for being a simple-minded child. Seeing her cry made me tear up too. I took out a handkerchief to wipe her tears and comforted her. "Aunt, don't cry. You're also like a mother to me." My aunt was momentarily stunned by my words and forgot to cry. Shen Xiong piped up from the side. "Mother, sister seems to have become smarter." My aunt glared at her, pulling me into her embrace. "Don't talk nonsense. Your sister was never foolish." Then she stroked my head, saying, "Our Yan Yan is getting married. She's become so sensible. Yuxuan is quite lucky." Gu Yuxuan was already an adopted son of the Shen family, so his marrying into the family was not troublesome. The wedding was set for the 8th day of next month, an auspicious date. The groom would ride a horse, escort the bride's sedan chair, and circle the city before returning. Since I was 18 at the time of my marriage, which is considered late, my aunt had already prepared my dowry and bridal attire in advance, so it didn't feel rushed. My aunt took me, Shen Xiong, and a whole family of people to Han Mountain Temple outside the city to pray. We prayed for a smooth marriage between me and Gu Yuxuan, and for Shen Xiong and Cheng Zhao's happiness. After all, once my marriage with Gu Yuxuan was settled, Shen Xiong and Cheng Zhao's marriage would follow. After we finished our prayers, my aunt stayed behind to discuss matters with the abbot, while Shen Xiong and Cheng Zhao had already planned to meet on the back mountain and had dashed off. I wandered around the temple alone, suddenly realizing I had lost track of my maid. "Xiang'a, where are you?" I felt a bit anxious. After all, I had always had someone by my side since I was young. Now, being alone made me feel a little scared. After taking a few steps forward, the next moment, someone suddenly grabbed my wrist and pushed me against the wall behind a rockery. I closed my eyes in fear, instinctively knowing who it was but too scared to open them, afraid of truly seeing him. Xiao Jingtang's voice came from above me. "Yan Yan, it's me. You're back, aren't you? But why are you marrying someone else?" His voice was laced with panic, tremors, and confusion, as if I had done something terribly wrong. At that moment, my heart felt as if it had been seized and painfully twisted. "Xiao Jingtang called me Yan Yan," he said also. Could it be that he has also lived again? Realizing this, I became completely flustered. In my previous life, I had married Xiao Jingtang for 10 years, spending day and night with him, knowing exactly what kind of person he was. As long as he lived, my family and I would never be safe. No, I can't let him know that I remember everything. In this life, I must have nothing to do with him. I started to cry, waving my hands to hit him.
"Who are you?"
"Why are you grabbing Yan Yan?"
"Aunt."
"Xiong'er,
"Help me."
save me." Xiao Jingtang didn't expect me to shout and quickly covered my mouth as he held me tightly. "Yan Yan, don't shout." But I bit down hard on his hand. This bite carried all my resentment from this life and the last. I thought he would let go from the pain. To my surprise, he merely let out a muffled grunt and tightened his hold on me. No matter how hard I struggled, he wouldn't release me. I tasted a faint metallic tang of blood in my mouth and froze. Seeing me turn to look at him, he lifted his sleeve and wiped the sweat from my forehead that had gathered from my struggles, smiling at me. He looked so handsome when he smiled, so stunning that even with nothing but hate left in my heart for him, I was still awed. In the last life, I was a fool. But in this life, I'm no longer such a fool. I won't like him just because he's good-looking. Tears streamed down my face, and Xiao Jingtang stared at me, frowning deeply, his grip on me loosening. Seizing the chance, I pushed him away and shouted as I ran outside. Only then did I realize that I hadn't lost Xiang'er. She was being held back by Xiao Jingtang's men. I was shaking with anger. In this life, I have nothing to do with him. I'm about to get married. Is he crazy? Why is he bullying me like this? Just because I'm simple-minded and once liked him? But clearly, I've already been punished for my feelings. Fortunately, I have my loving family. Shen Xiong and Qing Xiao quickly realized I was missing and came to find me.
8.
Shen Xiong held me close while Qing Xiao glared at Xiao Jingtang, gripping his ancestral red tassel spear. What is the Taisho doing here? As I sniffled, I began to report to Shen Xiong and Qing Xiao. He. When I cry, I get so agitated that I can hardly explain. But Shen Xiong understood me well. Seeing the marks on my neck, she was immediately furious. You, Xiao Jingtang, after being turned down a few days ago, you followed us to this Han temple to do something immoral to my sister. Today, whether you're a Taisho or the emperor himself, bullying my sister is unacceptable. Qing Xiao, teach him a lesson. Without hesitation, Qing Xiao rushed in to fight Xiao Jingtang. Qing Xiao came from a family of warriors, but Xiao Jingtang was also a skilled martial artist, making it hard for Qing Xiao to gain the upper hand with his spear. Seeing this, Shen Xiong grew even angrier. She released me and started toward Qing Xiao. I knew that although she had some fighting skills, she would never match Xiao Jingtang. After all, he was ruthless in battle and had commanded the slaughter of innocents after capturing cities. If he got pushed too far, he might not hold back. I quickly held on to Shen Xiong and urged, Xiong'er, it's dangerous, don't go. Xiao Jingtang, Yan is getting married and you can't have her. Please leave and don't harm my sister or her fiancé. I beg you. Hearing this, Xiao Jingtang paused, realizing he couldn't take me away today. He looked deeply at me before finally turning to leave. As I watched him walk away, I noticed something odd about his gait. Looking down, I was surprised to see blood on the ground. I glanced at his hands and discovered he had been injured at some point, with blood dripping down and trembling slightly. Xiao Jingtang was hurt. This meticulous man who was always calculating and careful could also get injured?
9.
After that encounter, I didn't see Xiao Jingtang for a long time. My wedding with Gu Yuxuan was approaching, and the Shen family was bustling with preparations, festooned with decorations. The night before the wedding, Shen Xiong and Qing Xiao cornered Gu Yuxuan, refusing to let him leave, claiming they wanted to set some ground rules for him. Yuxuan, if you marry my sister, you'll be her brother-in-law from now on. If you dare to bully her or make her suffer in any way, I won't allow it. Qing Xiao chimed in. Exactly. Xiong'er's sister is my sister. If you do anything wrong to Yan, my spear won't stand for it. Gu Yuxuan was caught between their antics, unable to decide whether to laugh or cry. Yan is the apple of my adoptive parents' eye. With you two guarding her, how could I let her suffer even a little? I promised to cherish her like my own life. I already knew this. In my past life, he had lost his life saving me. So, in this life, I would repay him with my own. I was sure he would treat me well, without needing Shen Xiong and Qing Xiao to threaten him. As they continued to argue, I rushed out to stand in front of Gu Yuxuan. You two can't bully my brother, Yuxuan. My face flushed as I said this. Shen Xiong and Qing Xiao teased. Oh, our sister, and she hasn't even married him yet. Look at her elbow going outwards. Yes, Yan, we're just helping you. I knew they meant well, but I couldn't stand to see him wronged. I grasped Gu Yuxuan's hand tightly. He will treat me well? Gu Yuxuan turned to look at me, his eyes sparkling. I smiled at him, and he smiled back. Shen Xiong and Qing Xiao mocked us, claiming our sweetness was sickening, then ran off laughing. Gu Yushuan wanted to share something intimate with me, but several old maids and young servants blocked him.
Oh,
Our ancestor. Tomorrow is the wedding. The groom and bride can't meet before the ceremony. It's bad luck. Gu Yushuan pleaded with the old maids, "Please, just let me say one thing." But they ruthlessly shooed him away. "It's only a few hours. Can't you wait? Once the eldest lady becomes your wife, you can talk all night behind closed doors." Gu Yushuan left reluctantly, without getting to say a word. I smiled and waved at him from behind, and he cheerfully waved back.
10.
My father was the richest man in Liangzhou, and as the eldest daughter of the Shen family, my wedding day was filled with extravagance, a 10-mile-long procession of red decorations and carpets throughout the city. My father prepared a grand banquet that lasted 3 days and nights, inviting the entire town to celebrate. I sat in the magnificent sedan chair crafted for me since birth, adorned with jewels, and I peeked out through a corner of the curtain at Gu Yushuan, who was riding a tall horse adorned with red silk. My mind drifted back in memory. In my past life, I had also married this way. But back then, it was not Gu Yushuan riding ahead, but Xiao Jingtang. I had been so joyful, ignoring all rules, secretly watching him the entire way, fearing he might run away. I was naturally happy to be marrying Gu Yushuan, but it was no longer that reckless anticipation. As the sedan passed under a bridge, I suddenly felt a gaze upon me. I looked up to see Xiao Jingtang standing on the bridge, watching me. It was also the year I turned 18, on the same date of the 3rd month, but back then, he was the groom in a red robe. Now he was merely a wandering guest in plain clothing. The images of past and present seemed to overlap in that moment. A fleeting glance was a lifetime of missed opportunities. However, I had clearly underestimated Xiao Jingtang's capacity for chaos. After the procession, as we returned home to prepare for the ceremony, he arrived uninvited. The long list of gifts shocked all the guests. My father's face turned as dark as a pot bottom. Gu Yushuan was marrying into the Shen family. Presenting such extravagant gifts left him with no face to show. Today is my daughter's wedding. What is the meaning of such a heavy gift from the Taisho? Xiao Jingtang stood there, his eyes fixed on me, not bothering to hide his intentions. These gifts were originally meant as the bride price for Miss Shen. Now that she is marrying, I have no use for them. His words caused an uproar in a room. So it's true that Taisho Xiao has feelings for the Shen family's foolish daughter? Such priceless gifts. I dare say they could marry 10 Shenyanyans. What is the Shen family thinking? Indeed, how can she give up a prestigious position to marry a dependent adopted son? Some even looked at Gu Yushuan with sympathy, suspecting there was something going on between me and Xiao Jingtang before the wedding. I think Gu Yushuan is just a backup, isn't he? Being an adopted son is already embarrassing enough. Encountering this kind of situation is truly distressing. 11. I lifted my veil and stole a glance at Gu Yushuan, noticing his expression was not good. Anyone would be upset on their wedding day to face such a disturbance. I secretly squeezed Gu Yushuan's hand. He was momentarily taken aback, then turned to look at me, his brow relaxing a bit. Shen Xiong and Qing Xiao tried to drive Xiao Jingtang away, but he unexpectedly brought soldiers with him. As soon as Shen Xiong and Qing Xiao moved, his soldiers surrounded the Shen residence. Everyone was frightened, suspecting Xiao Jingtang intended to snatch me away, making my father's head spin with anger. Taisho, what do you intend to do? Today is my daughter's wedding. If you're here to congratulate us, the Shen family will gladly welcome you with fine food and drink. But if you're here to cause trouble, don't blame the Shen family for being rude. Our housekeepers are no pushovers. Xiao Jingtang ignored him and fixed his gaze on me. Miss Shen, what do you think I'm here for? He reeked of alcohol and stumbled into me, making me catch my breath. I looked at him and smiled faintly. Thank you for the gifts, Taisho. However, a woman cannot have 2 husbands. Yan Yan is already promised to another, so I must decline your affections. I raise a toast to you, wishing you peace, health, and everything you desire." I then tipped my head back and down the drink. I wasn't good at drinking, and the liquor was strong. I swayed slightly. Xiao Jingtang instinctively reached out to steady me, but I brushed him off with a wave of my sleeve. "Do you think that's enough? Then let me toast you again." Saying this, I poured myself another glass. Xiao Jingtang tried to stop me, but I downed it once more. After 3 cups, everyone in the hall gasped in shock. Others, unsure of the relationship between Xiao Jingtang and me, dared not intervene. Seeing me drink cup after cup, Xiao Jingtang finally lost his temper and tried to snatch the glass from my hand. "That's enough. You're not her. Who are you really?" I looked at him and smiled. I was, of course, her. Just not the same person who had once been heartbroken and lost everything because of him. I grabbed his collar and, fueled by alcohol, said, "Xiao Jingtang, I'm married now. I don't want to see you again. Do you understand?"
12.
I wasn't sure if he understood, but as soon as I finished speaking, I passed out. When I woke up, I found Gu Yuxuan by my side, staying up all night to take care of me. Seeing me awake, Gu Yuxuan was filled with joy and helped me sit up. "Yan Yan, you're awake?" I rubbed my forehead, feeling dazed. "Where's this? What happened to me?" Gu Yuxuan looked at me with exasperation. "You drank so much. Of course your head hurts. Here, drink this hangover soup. I kept it warm on the stove for you." With his help, I drank the soup and wiped my mouth, smiling sweetly at him. "Thank you, Brother Yuxuan." Gu Yuxuan chuckled, poking my nose playfully before asking with concern, "What was going on with that Taisho Xiao yesterday? Do you know him?" I thought to myself that I didn't know him before, but I certainly did in my past life. But it didn't matter now, since I was married to Gu Yuxuan. So I made up a story. It's a long story. Once, while Xiang and I were out shopping, we encountered Taisho Xiao riding down the street. He saw my beauty and fell for me at first sight, coming to ask my father for my hand. But I want to marry you, Brother Yuxuan, so I rejected him. He held a grudge and decided to cause trouble on our wedding day. Such a petty man. In truth, I looked quite ordinary, with no particular beauty. Yet Gu Yuxuan surprisingly believed my ridiculous tale. He clenched his fists indignantly. What a scoundrel! If I'd known yesterday, I wouldn't have let him go so easily. I should have punched him in the face. I scrunched my nose and nodded in agreement. Exactly. Gu Yuxuan said he would raise 2 big guard dogs at home, and if that Xiao came back, he would set the dogs on him. I nodded vigorously, fully agreeing with him. 13. After our marriage, Gu Yuxuan treated me very well. My father entrusted all his business to him, and the Shen family's affairs were managed perfectly. The following year, we personally sent Shen Qiong off to marry. Watching her marry the General Qing she had long admired, the weight that had hung over my heart finally lifted. Once they left Liangzhou, even if Xiao Jingtang rebelled, General Qing would surely protect her. But as days passed peacefully, my heart grew increasingly anxious, sensing that something major was about to happen. One day, as dusk fell, Gu Yuxuan had not yet returned. I asked Xiang, puzzled, "Where's the master? Why hasn't he come back at this hour?" Xiang went out to inquire and rushed back in alarmed. "Bad news, miss. The master, he's been captured by the Taisho's men. They said Xiao Taisho was attacked while hunting. They accuse him of supporting rebels and illegally forging weapons." At that moment, I felt my vision darken, almost fainting. Did Gu Yuxuan still hold a grudge over what happened before? But Xiao Jingtang held a high position, like an unshakable giant tree to our humble family. Why would he take such a risk? I grabbed Xiang's hand urgently. "Did you find out where he's being held?" Wiping her tears, Xiang said, "Yes, the messenger said he's locked in the dark prison at the Taisho's mansion." I hurriedly gathered the dowry my mother had given me, borrowed a carriage, and rushed to Xiao Jingtang's residence. It had been over a year since I last saw him, and he appeared to have lost quite a bit of weight, unlike the spirited figure I remembered. Dressed in a black cloak over a white robe, he looked cold and distant. Seeing me kneeling before him, He seemed to understand, raising his hand to dismiss everyone else. Attempting to assassinate the Taisho and colluding with rebels is punishable by death. I closed my eyes, tears streaming down my cheeks. He did it all for me. He's weak. He won't survive in a place like that dark prison. Xiao Jingtang grew angry. He took my wife and now seeks my life. You care for him. Why don't you care for me? Why don't you ask if I'm injured or if I could die? 14. He's skilled in martial arts. Why should I worry about him? Besides, disasters last for thousands of years. Even if we all die, he will still survive. Seeing me bite my lip in silence, Xiao Jingtang suddenly drew his sword. I'll go cut off Gu Yuxuan's head right now. My heart tightened, and I rushed to grab his hand. No! He tightened his grip on my wrist and pulled me closer. All right, you should know what to do, right? Leave Gu Yuxuan, and I will marry you. In an instant, I burst into tears. After all this effort, has it come to this? But I didn't want to follow the same path as in my previous life. Even if Xiao Jingtang's power was unshakable, I still wanted to try again. I grasped his hand and placed it on my belly. With a trembling voice, I pleaded, Xiao Jingtang, I'm pregnant. The doctor said it will be a girl. I'm going to have my own daughter. I remember you always wanted a son. You didn't like daughters, but I do. Please let him go. I don't want my daughter to be born without a father. I offered him the box of dowry. This is my mother's dowry, filled with silver notes, land deeds, house contracts, and the copper and iron mines you desire most. I only ask for my husband's life. Will you fulfill this for me? Xiao Jingtang overturned everything on the ground. Shen Yan, what I want is not this. I cried uncontrollably, nodding randomly. I know, but this is all I can give you. Xiao Jingtang closed his eyes and turned away, seemingly exhausting all his strength to yell at me. Get out. He had such a strange temperament, unpredictable and capricious. I had already taken a dangerous step, exposing my past life. If I angered him, what if he killed us both? I could only hurriedly rise and back away, seeking another way. As I reached the door, I faintly heard Xiao Jingtang's voice drifting in the air, fading into the distance. Yan, actually we have a daughter. You just don't know, she left with her. Hearing his words struck me like lightning, causing me to stagger, feeling a rush of blood to my throat. But Xiao Jingtang noticed my reaction and quickly escaped the courtyard. Perhaps I had liked Xiao Jingtang when we first met. Perhaps, later, he loved me too. But between us lay the enmity of our past lives. We couldn't look back, only forward. 15. In the end, Xiao Jingtang accepted my dowry box and sent Gu Yuxuan back. However, those who assisted in the assassination were not so fortunate. Xiao Jingtang beheaded them, their bloody heads hanging at the city gate. Watching this, fear gripped my heart. If I had been any more timid and hadn't knelt to plead with him, perhaps it would be Gu Yuxuan hanging there now. When Gu Yuxuan returned, he knelt before me without saying a word. I was startled and wanted to help him. Brother Yuxuan, what happened? You came back safely, didn't you? Gu Yuxuan grasped my hand, gritting his teeth. Wife, let me kneel. If I hadn't felt inferior, thinking I was unworthy of you compared to Taisho Xiao, and if jealousy hadn't tormented me, I wouldn't have made such a grave mistake. I almost lost my life and nearly implicated the Shen family. Wife, I can't face you or your father. Let's part ways. I looked at him tearfully. But I'm already pregnant with your child. Don't you want me and the baby, Brother Yuxuan? He was momentarily stunned, then embraced me tightly, burying his face in my neck, apologizing repeatedly. Yan, it's all my fault. I shook my head. No, it's not your fault, Brother Yuxuan. It's me. I attracted people I shouldn't have. I said to Gu Yuxuan, let's move, shall we? To Yongzhou, to find Qing Xiao and Qiong. Gu Yuxuan nodded. All right, I'll listen to you. When my father and stepmother heard of our decision, they felt reluctant. Yan, our family has lived in Liangzhou for generations. Our ancestral graves and family shrine are here. Leaving so suddenly. I replied, the world is chaotic. Liangzhou isn't safe. Moreover, Qiong'er and Qingxiao are in Yongzhou. Our family should be together, right? My father considered it all night and finally decided to sell the family property and move the whole family north.
16.
The Shen family was the richest in Liangzhou, paying a substantial amount in taxes every year. Leaving on a whim was not so easy. I didn't know what Xiao Jingtang would think. I could only take a gamble and offer up our most valuable assets. The Shen family had a century of wealth. Even if we lost everything, we would still have enough to live comfortably for a lifetime. As long as we have our lives, we needn't worry about firewood. After moving to Yongzhou, my father could continue his business. When I went to say goodbye, Xiao Jingtang stood in the courtyard. In May, the pear blossoms were in full bloom, falling like snow on his shoulders and head. I told him that my father and stepmother missed my sister, and the Shen family was moving north, coming to bid farewell. I explained my intentions and offered the properties. Xiao Jingtang didn't look at what I handed him. He just stared at my protruding belly, silent. I stood there, my back stiff as if I were being watched by a poisonous snake, cold sweat soaking my back. I admit I was afraid of Xiao Jingtang and not very clever. All I wanted was to protect my family, relying on my knowledge from my past life to understand him better than most. Xiao Jingtang had ambitions to dominate the world. To him, my family was just a tool for seizing the throne. I had given him the money and mines he wanted. The Shen family should be of no use to him now, so he should let us go, right? That afternoon, we stood facing each other in silence. Later, he took a step forward, and I instinctively stepped back. Xiao Jingtang halted suddenly, clenching his fists, looking at me with deep sadness. Shen Yanyan, who said you're foolish? I'm the biggest fool of all. And you, it turns out, are so heartless. Since my rebirth, I had always shown him great respect, living in fear. But at that moment, I erupted. 17. I stared at Xiao Jingtang fiercely. Sir Xiao, I know I was wrong. I shouldn't have let my father use food supplies to coerce you into marrying me. But I'm dead now, and my entire Shen family has paid the price. Can't you let me go? This time, I didn't come to provoke you. I just want to protect my family and live a peaceful life. Isn't that enough? Why do you have to keep making things difficult for an ordinary person like me? Xiao Jingtang pursed his lips and reached out to grab me. Yan Yan, I never intended to kill you. I forcefully shook off his hand. But you killed my family. My sister and brother-in-law died because of you. My father and stepmother were beheaded by you, and my entire Shen family. Xiao Jingtang clenched his fists. That was because the Shen family committed treason. They wanted my life. Deep down, I vaguely understood some of this. When I married Xiao Jingtang, the Shen family and the Cheng family were naturally tied to him. But as the group grew, so did the chaos. Cheng Xiao led the troops with Xiao Jingtang's trusted aides, but his men withdrew at a critical moment, leading Cheng Xiao's vanguard to be ambushed and ultimately die on the battlefield. My sister, Shen Qiong, also sacrificed herself. My father and General Cheng lost their beloved son and daughter, secretly plotting to overthrow Xiao Jingtang, but in the end, their plans were exposed, resulting in both families being wiped out. So when I heard Xiao Jingtang's words, all I wanted to do was laugh. I pulled out a hairpin and pressed it against my neck, drawing a line of blood. Do you dare say that Cheng Zhao's death wasn't your instruction? That my sister's death wasn't caused by you? Forget it. These things don't matter. I only ask you one thing. Will you let us go or not? Seeing the blood on my neck, Xiao Jingtang's expression darkened. Shen Yanyan, are you threatening me with death? His fierceness frightened me. In my previous life, I had loved him so humbly. When I drank the poison, I hadn't thought he would kill my entire family and still leave me alive. In this life, threatening him with my death made me too afraid to consider if I meant anything to him. Revenge was something I hadn't even dared to think about. I was just such a useless person, but in front of him, I had already tried my best. I pleaded with him desperately. Xiao Jingtang, let me go, let me go. I'm scared. 18. As soon as I finished speaking, I felt a sharp pain in my abdomen, cold sweat breaking out on my forehead, and my body swayed before I fell. Xiao Jingtang hurriedly caught me. Yan Yan, what's wrong? I frowned and pressed my hand against my lower abdomen. My stomach, it hurts. Xiao Jingtang held me and rushed into the house, shouting desperately, "Get a doctor." I didn't know how long I had been unconscious, but when I woke up, I heard the doctor say I had experienced a pregnancy scare and needed to rest in bed, avoiding any stress. Otherwise, the pregnancy might not be viable. Xiao Jingtang's face was grim, while I gently stroked my rounded belly under the covers, silently reciting the Heart Sutra to repent for my sins. "Child, I'm sorry. Please don't blame your mother for being cruel. Your mother does this for your father, your grandparents, and for the lives of everyone in the Shen family." Xiao Jingtang said I was heartless, and I indeed was. Before coming here, I took medication that could lead to miscarriage, though the dosage was light. In dire circumstances, I had no choice but to resort to this painful tactic. In the end, Xiao Jingtang compromised. He agreed to let the Shen family go. Gu Yuxuan came to fetch me and, upon learning of my condition, wanted me to rest a bit longer before traveling. I held his hand tightly and shook my head. "I know my own body. We need to leave in a few days to avoid more complications." Xiao Jingtang was unpredictable, and I feared he might change his mind. For the next few days, I felt restless and couldn't sleep well. Only after leaving Liangzhou did I finally breathe a sigh of relief and cry heartily. I had finally left Liangzhou, escaping from Xiao Jingtang. I hoped never to see him again in this life. Half a year passed quickly, and our family settled in Yongzhou. By the end of the year, I gave birth to a daughter and named her Yenner. But I didn't know if it was due to the scare while pregnant or the bumpy journey. Yenner's health was weak from an early age. I knew this was heaven's punishment for me, so I often held her and cried. Fortunately, the little girl was very understanding. She didn't cry or fuss when taking medicine and would softly call me Mother. 19. In this life, Xiao Jingtang's speed in seizing power was even faster. Shortly after we left Liangzhou, he raised an army and successively captured Yuzhou, Wanzhou, Qingzhou, and Yuezhou. His positions rose repeatedly: Grand Marshal, Chancellor, Grand Tutor. He was conferred the title of Duke of Zhao. Half of the 9 provinces were under his control. The next step was to kill the puppet emperor of Zhongzhou, and he could claim the throne. One day, I took my daughter Yenu out for a spring outing, but we were ambushed and taken away. I desperately protected Yenner in my arms, and when the captor removed his mask, it was Xiao Jingtang's confidant, Xiao Zhua. "Madame Gu, the Lord wishes to see you." I instinctively shielded my daughter. "I won't go." It had been 4 years since Xiao Jingtang and I had any interaction. Why did he want to see me now? Xiao Zhua sensed my resistance and pressed the sword lightly against my shoulder. "For years, the Lord has exhausted himself, suffering from a serious illness, and his time is running out. He wishes to see you one last time before he dies." Is this too much to ask? Very well, then let the entire Shen family and your daughter accompany him in death. I panicked.
No.
I'll go. He was a fanatic, devoted to Xiao Jingtang, capable of anything for him. Let my daughter go back. I will go with you. Xiao Zhua didn't harm Yenner and took me to see Xiao Jingtang. As we traveled, confusion filled my mind. Was Xiao Jingtang really dying? If he was dying, why did he want to see me? He must know I didn't want to see him. When I finally saw Xiao Jingtang lying there, emaciated and on the brink of death, I realized he truly was dying. Yan Yan. He lay on the bed, his face ashen, stretching out his hand to call my name. I felt a tightening in my heart, but forced myself to suppress the urge to rush to him. Instead, I asked Xiao Zhua, "What illness does he have?" Xiao Zhua shook his head and said, "The doctor said it's due to excessive worry." Ultimately, it was his own intricate schemes that had led him here. That day, with Xiao Zhua pressing a sword against me, I sat before Xiao Jingtang's bed and listened to him speak at length. He recounted his triumphs, regrets, and things he could never attain. In the end, he grasped my hand tightly and said, "Yan Yan, in this life, I missed you again. Will we have a next life?" Will I have another chance in the next life? I wanted to say that in this life, next life, and countless lives, I never wanted to see him again. But perhaps out of respect for the sword on my shoulder, or perhaps because I wanted him to die sooner, I hesitated for a moment and replied, "In the next life, come early." Upon hearing this, a hint of relief appeared on Xiao Jingtang's face. He tightened his grip on my hand. "In the next life, wait for me. Yan, in the next life, I will never let you down." Then, the strength in his hand suddenly loosened. In this life, Xiao Jingtang passed away at the age of 25. End. Epilogue 1. After Xiao Jingtang's death, the world fell into chaos, with no one to lead. Our family moved back and forth with the Chung family, hiding and seeking refuge. In the end, it was Xiao Zhua who pacified the chaos and established a new dynasty. The Chung family pledged allegiance to the new dynasty and brought us to the capital, where we finally lived a few peaceful days. Gu Yuxuan and I had another son, whom we named Gu Lin. This child was quiet from a young age. At 3 years old, he still couldn't speak, which worried us. We feared he might take after me and be foolish. But on his 3rd birthday, the little guy, who had never spoken before, suddenly exclaimed, "Didn't you say you would allow me to come in the next life?" "I've come." I was so startled that I nearly jumped. Xiao Jingtang died on August 9th, and Gu Lin was born the following May. What an uncanny coincidence. Moreover, even if I had promised him, this child came far too early. Because he kept grabbing my sleeve and talking nonsense, he was eventually scolded by his 8-year-old sister, my daughter Yenner. When Yenner was little and weak, I let her train in martial arts with Qing Xiao and Shen Qiong. After a few years, she improved significantly, no longer frail, and even developed some of Shen Qiong's demeanor. From that day on, if Gu Lin spoke nonsense, he would get scolded. "How dare you? What are you holding on to your mother for? Mother belongs to father. Stop talking nonsense." After getting scolded a lot, Gu Lin eventually stopped causing trouble. As he grew older, he seemed to forget about his past life and followed Yen around, calling her sister all the time. Finally, the worry that had weighed on my heart lifted. Gu Yuxuan and I exchanged relieved smiles. I remember when I shared the stories of our past lives with Gu Yuxuan, he was so shocked he couldn't speak. He asked me, "Yan, do you regret it? Do you regret choosing me?" I shook my head. "I regret not choosing you in my first life. In this life, next life, and every life after, I will choose you." Gu Yuxuan held me tightly. "All right, I will wait for you through all my lives." Epilogue 2. Xiao Jingtang's perspective. My name is Xiao Jingtang, and I was appointed as the governor of Liangzhou. When I approached the wealthy Shen family for funds, old Master Shen unexpectedly proposed that I marry his daughter. Having passed 20 without a wife, I had heard of Shen Qiong's talents and agreed. But on the wedding night, when I lifted the bridal veil, the person sitting there wasn't Shen Qiong. It was a simple-minded girl drooling over me. Upon inquiry, I learned she was Shan Yan, the eldest daughter of the Shen family, who had suffered from complications during birth, resulting in her mental impairment. The Shen family was willing to donate their vast fortune to support my cause, all to have me marry their foolish daughter. Furious at the deception, I stormed off. The next day, I found out that the silly girl had waited outside for me all night, her face pale from the cold, huddled in a small ball in the corridor outside my study, looking utterly pitiful. I was enraged by the Shen family's trickery, but I didn't want to make things difficult for a simpleton. Seeing her foolish, innocent appearance, I immediately scolded my subordinates. "What is she doing here? Are you all dead?" The nurse cried, "My lord, it's not that we don't care. It's that the lady refuses to leave." No matter how we urged her, it was useless. The huddled figure, upon seeing me, broke into a smile and called, "Husband." Then she grabbed my sleeve, still holding a sticky piece of candy in her hand. "Husband, did Yan do something wrong to make you unhappy? This candy is for you. It's sweet. Please don't be upset, okay?" Seeing the sticky syrup staining my sleeve, my expression darkened further. Here I was, Xiao Jingtang, a man of great talent and valor, marrying a fool as my wife. The silly girl, noticing my daze, asked, "Husband, aren't you going to eat? The candy is really sweet." I forced a smile. "You should eat it yourself." She replied, "No. Father said that since I married you, I'm your wife now. We should share joys and hardships together. How can I eat all the sweets by myself?" I didn't want to engage with her, but her sticky face and hands were just too dirty. She was a fool, and her attendants surely weren't taking care of her properly. So, unable to resist, I took her to wash her face and hands. I scolded her. "If it's sticky, throw it away. Don't use your dirty hands to grab my sleeve. And don't come bothering me for no reason." But she said, "Husband, you're really nice, just like my father and my aunt." I replied, "I'm not nice. Today, I'll pack up this fool and send her back." Yet, I ultimately couldn't send her away. I took her to the Shen family, where old Master Shen repeatedly referred to me as a worthy son-in-law, handing me stacks of silver notes and saying I had worked hard taking care of his simple-minded daughter and could ask for whatever I wanted. He insisted that although his daughter was a bit foolish, she was kind and lovable, and as long as I kept her, I could have anything I desired. I had no intention of marrying, and whether I had a wife or not made no difference. Now, having gained so much silver for just keeping a fool at home wasn't a bad deal at all. So, I negotiated a hefty sum and brought her back. The fool didn't know anything and thought I had simply taken her home for fun. She naively asked, "Husband, you're so nice. When will you take Yan Yan back home to play again?" I scoffed, "When I run out of money." Although she was a fool, her words were sweet, and she was particularly clingy, always circling around me. "Husband, are you cold? Husband, are you hungry? Husband, are you thirsty? Husband, are you tired?" I replied, "You're so annoying." She said, "Husband, you're really handsome. Yan Yan wants to snuggle with you." Who wants to snuggle with her? Despite being a fool, she could be quite obedient. When she wasn't crying or causing a scene, you couldn't tell she was simple-minded. Moreover, she was quite useful. When I needed money, taking her to the Shen family would always result in old Master Shen generously offering me large sums. But at night, she would fuss and need someone to comfort her and tell her stories. At first, I would put her to sleep before returning to my study. But after a few times, too exhausted to continue, I would fall asleep telling her a story and somehow end up sharing the bed with her. Eventually, I discovered that as soon as I lay down, she would snuggle into my arms, quietly sleeping without fussing or needing a story. I really didn't want to tell her stories every day, so I could only hold her to sleep every night. Though she was a fool, sleeping with her was warm, soft, and fragrant. Later, she somehow learned that sleeping together would lead to having babies and said, "Husband, Yan Yan wants to have a daughter, just like Qiong'er, smart and pretty." I replied, "I don't like daughters. I want to have sons." Sons would look like me. Daughters would look like her. I didn't want a simple-minded daughter. She pouted, insisting, "I want a daughter. I want a daughter." I held her down, not allowing her to move. "Fool, can you really decide if it's a son or a daughter?" Naturally, it was not for me to decide either. Looking back now, those were perhaps the best times of our lives. But nothing in this world is unchanging. As I gained more, the people around me diminished. The Chung family was growing increasingly powerful in the military, subtly becoming difficult to control. And my esteemed father-in-law seemed to favor his future son-in-law. They ultimately resented her for being a fool and sought to abandon her. Humph, how could they think it would be that easy? I proposed to take Shen Qiong as a concubine to counterbalance Qing Xiao, but unexpectedly, this threw Qing Xiao into disarray on the battlefield, leading to his death. Both the Chung family and the Shen family accused me of orchestrating it and deliberately withholding aid. I didn't care to explain. The Chung family had long harbored disloyalty towards me. They had to pay the price. But Shen Qiong was dead, and she leaped from a tall building holding Qing Zhao's tablet. Shen Yanyan stood below, watching her sister fall at her feet, and was so frightened that she fell into a high fever and was sick for a long time. Seeing her weak and terrified, I felt a twinge of regret, questioning whether I had made the wrong choice. Though I am narrow-minded and seek revenge for the smallest grievances, for Shen Yanyan, I could have spared their lives. But the Shen family seemed unable to learn from their mistakes. Shen family's adopted son, Gu Yuxuan, attempted to threaten me by secretly taking Shen Yanyan away. In a fit of anger, I personally shot him to death. But the fool didn't understand. She only knew I had caused her sister's and brother-in-law's deaths and shot her brother Yuxuan. Looking at the terrified Shen Yanyan, who was screaming, I tiredly forced a smile. She taught me love, but I taught her hatred. Very well. The deaths of Qing Xiao and Shen Xiong drove the Cheng and Shen families into a frenzy. Initially, the Shen family had desperately insisted I marry their simple-minded daughter, yet now they would stop at nothing to ruin me. Those who claimed to love Shen Yanyan most dearly seemed indifferent to her well-being. So I killed them all. I beheaded them and hung their heads on the city walls. After all, Shen Yanyan was a fool. After some time, she would forget. She didn't need those family members. She had me, and that was enough. But what I hadn't expected was that the passage of time would allow her to grow up, and she learned everything. She learned to drink poison and to use her death to punish me. She left, taking our unborn daughter with her, leaving me with nothing. That day, I drank the remaining half-cup of her poison. When I opened my eyes again, I found myself back 10 years ago. In a panic, I rushed to the Shen family to propose. But I heard her weak voice from behind the screen saying she didn't want to. This fool remembered everyone who had treated her well but only recalled that I had treated her poorly.